Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Eric Larson Day, Saturday. Hope you're having a great weekend. We are looking at the next issue of The Savage Dragon in our reviews. This is issue number 31, September 1996. And this is a pretty infamous issue. This is the God versus the Devil issue, as you can tell from the cover. Great cover, I think, of both guys kind of squaring off. You've got a nice foreground shot of the Savage Dragon here, naked, of course, and that's probably why the silhouette, and also because it's faster to draw. But I think graphically it works really well. We can really see kind of the plane that the dragon is on, and that he's in the foreground. Works really well. Great composition. Eric Larson's view of God is going to be kind of explored, I guess, throughout this comic. I think a lot of the art, the artists' views on religion stuff are going to come through, obviously, in this issue. Pretty hard to find. There's two versions of this one because this is the infamous issue that God swears. Oh my God. Because, you know, if God invented everything, then I would assume he invented swearing as well. But yeah, so there are two versions of this one. There's the one where he swears and the one where it's censored, the cleaned up version. Thankfully, when I bought this, I wasn't sure which was which. I got it at a lower price because it's a reader copy. It's got a bit of folds and stuff, and in the back, actually, it's a little worse for the wearer, but still not the end of the world, still very readable. That's why I got it at a low price. And I was happy to find that this is the non-censored issue, so the original issue with the swear word in it. I'm not particularly offended by it. And again, just commenting on the cover, the shot of the devil actually kicking God in the nuts is pretty hilarious, and that'll be repeated inside. Also, pay attention to Eric Larson's kind of vision or version of God. Pretty kind of, I would say, typical to what most people probably imagine. I feel, though, that he may have seen Jack Kirby's interpretations of God. Jack Kirby did a series of illustrations, I believe, in the 70s, where he was representing God in the world and all of that, kind of, you know, human myths or religious myths. And I do see a kinship between Eric Larson's version of God and Jack Kirby's. And of course, Eric Larson, we know, is a huge Kirby fan and is heavily influenced by him, so it makes sense. So fun, great cover. Probably pisses some people off, I guess, but not me. This is just a lot of fun, really, and this issue is a lot of fun. Let's have a look inside. So if you remember, the Fiend has, you know, sent the dragon to hell, but the dragon doesn't believe. I guess he's kind of an atheist, so he thinks it's just some kind of crazy wild dream. And so Fiend has gone into hell to make the dragon's life a living hell. Always like this version of the Fiend with, you know, the craggly skin, the textures, and I guess, you know, cellulite and all that. I think Larson's a master of doing those grody textures, and he does really well here. Even for the hair, I find there's an interesting line work going on there. And just a great shot of this character, and she's always naked, which is hilarious. He always kind of shadows in the nipples, I guess, and it's just not very apparent, or maybe she doesn't have any. And again, the old Larson screen tone that he uses a lot that I think looks really great. And surprised to find that even this late in the run, he's still using it. I guess he probably ends up using it all the way throughout. This feels kind of weird, though, where I'm like, was this supposed to be a double page splash or something originally? The cropping on the arm to remind us that Overlord is there, fine, but just the arm is a bit odd. It does almost feel like something's missing here, and this should have been a double page splash, but that's not what's going on. So again, Overlord confronts Dragon. He's pointing his finger, and this is kind of a funny little sequence. He bites the finger off and patoos it, or shoots it out, or hawk-toos it, I guess, and basically blows it out the back of Overlord's head. And I mean, again, it's kind of odd because we're in hell, so I don't know if you can die again and go somewhere else when you're in hell, but I guess that's kind of what's going on here. It's not explored any further. And of course, the Fiend, who is basically the mother of the girlfriend of Dragon who was killed. Bastard, you'll pay for that and for what you did to my little girl. And then it hits me. So basically what he figures out, he's going through all of the past history of like the 30-odd issues since the early Savage Dragon miniseries and those events. And he realizes that the Fiend is, he says, Arnold Dimple, is that you? Arnold Dimple? Who's Arnold Dimple? I don't know any Arnold Dimple. So someone saying that obviously is probably stalling, right? So basically what we figure out is that Arnold Dimple, the guy who originally shot Dragon's girlfriend, is actually connected to the Fiend and has taken over the girlfriend's mother, to get back at Dragon, right? But then the mother kind of realizes it, and you get kind of a split personality here with the Fiend. And she realizes, obviously, that he's responsible for killing her daughter, not the dragon. Dragon's still naked, still got those dragon proportions, which I think are great, that Erik Larsen kind of popularized, with the really wide shoulder and the really narrow waist. Kind of odd and cartoony, but works for the dragon anyways. And other artists kind of missed that, except for one of the guys, I think, who draws the dragon really well, is Greg Capullo, right? And he kind of follows the Erik Larsen anatomy mold when he's doing dragon. That's probably why it works. Always like this. I don't know if it's because we're in hell, but he's not using, it's kind of a chaotic situation, so he's not using regular just straight up panel borders. He's using that broken line, kind of thick, broken, sketchy line, which I think is cool and always works well when using the proper context like this one. So the devil shows up, not Malebolgia, because if you remember last issue, Spawn was here and he was obviously looking to get even with the Malebolgia, and Dragon just really had no idea who that is. So this is Erik Larsen's version of the devil, right? So this is all very much based in specifically in Christianity, and that's why we got the more classic version of the devil here, and we've also got the classic version of God too. So so what his devil is saying is basically you're in hell and you're going to be staying here, right? You're not going anywhere, either of you. The deal cannot be broken. We have a contract. You signed it. Eternity begins today. And then boom, God shows up. And again, like I said, just a very, I think, apparent Kirby influence in these sequences, right? Because we're dealing with huge mythic, you know, Kirby-esque new gods kind of themes, right? So it makes sense. A lot of powerful foreshortening. Some interesting, see this kind of stuff here. If you ever look at old Kirby pencils where the black spaces are actually filled in with lots of little lines, and sometimes the inker would just fill that in completely, but a guy like Mike Royer, who's Kirby's most faithful inker, actually would go in and hatch those lines as well, which always, I thought, made Kirby's art look amazing, just because he was following what Kirby laid down, not trying to change anything. Great double page splash of, you know, our first meeting of God and the devil, at least in this story, right? Obviously. God, I won't release them, not without a fight. Dragon's like, this ought to be good. Still thinking it's a dream sequence. And basically, I mean, not much story going on here, just a big kind of brawl for all between the devil and God. So funny that, you know, two mythical, you know, all-powerful beings will be fighting with their fists. Kind of hilarious, right? And fun. So here's kind of like the cover shot where the devil obviously is going to fight dirty, so he kicks God in the nuts there. The very fact that God has nuts and can get hurt there is, again, very funny. Not much to say, again, about the sequence. The layouts are great. You know, lots of big shots, big, almost, well, basically splash pages with some insert panels, right? Moving along the little bits between the dragon and the fiend, right? Very reminiscent of Walt Simmons in here with the lettering, right? Raka-Badoom. So making up some interesting sound effects as well. I always thought this was pretty fun and clever. So he did like a mock-up cover of God comics. So what if this had come out in like 1939, 1940? Obviously wartime, so God would be confronting Hitler. I'm sure for some people this is all sorts of blasphemous, but I think it's hilarious. I'm saved. Jesus is crucified here. Hitler crucified my son. That's just hilarious. Now, it says artist unknown. I'm going to assume it's Erik Larsen drawing in kind of a Golden Age style. That's what I feel like it is. You know, probably looked at some old Golden Age covers, and the way the inking is done here definitely looks like Golden Age Jack Kirby. So just a fun kind of add-on there. They made it look weathered like it's an old comic. So finally, God gets the upper hand here on the devil, right? And then we get the infamous panel, right? Don't fuck with God. And this is what was censored because I guess some Christians out there when this came out were kind of insulted. Fingers kind of penis-like as well. Kind of funny. But a great shot. And I just love the dramatic lighting and line work on the face. Again, slightly Kirby-esque, but works really well. And this is the one that kind of reminds me of those Jack Kirby God illustrations that he did. And I'll just read a little bit because I thought this was interesting because this is, I think, where some of Erik Larsen's thoughts on religion or Christianity come out. Look, pal, I don't mean to seem ungrateful. He's talking to God, right? But what the hell is all this? Any idiot knows that God was created as a way of keeping the peasants in check. This whole thing is some stupid dream I'm having, and I keep getting caught up in it. Man created God. Everyone knows that. Hades was a garbage dump, and sinning was supposed to be like burning there. It's not a real place. Man created God, the devil, heaven, and hell. Man is more powerful than you know. You have realized but a fraction of what every man is capable of. And of course, I'm not going to read all of this here, but basically going through the philosophy of atheism, I guess, versus Christianity and religion. So pretty interesting, pretty heady content for a kid's or teenager's comic book, maybe, I guess, The Savage Dragon. And interesting that he gets into religion because it's very much open to interpretation. I guess politics are as well, but I'm a little more annoyed in modern times with Eric Larson constantly commenting on politics online. I love his stuff. I love his art. It's just his discussion of politics I'm not really interested in, nor do I want to hear. He's very staunchly Democrat. I'm Canadian, so there's Democrats and Republicans in the States. I'm more center, so I always think some solutions can come from the right and some solutions can come from the left. Every situation is different. Not all situations will be solved by the left and not all situations will be solved by the right. But anyways, getting ahead of myself. Not interested in his political views, other than maybe when he's, processing them through the comic. I know he had Obama on the cover and Biden on the cover. Listen, when it comes to Biden, whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's all coming out now that he was not of sound mind, I guess is how I'd put it, when he was president. And I think, whatever side you're on, I'm on the side of rationality that no matter what politically, it was clear that Biden had some cognitive issues from very early on. And it was kind of intellectually insulting to have some of the media outlets say, no, he's sharp and this and that, when you can clearly, believe your own eyes and see that something's wrong, right? And then people telling you you're not seeing what you're seeing. Kind of like that whole legend of the emperor has no clothes, right? A little bit of reading here that I thought was interesting. So God explains that whatever you believe happens when you die, right? So upon death, everyone is filled with an overwhelming sensation, a calming, overwhelming sensation that their beliefs were right, that their path was the correct one. Everyone creates their own heaven or hell, limbo or oblivion. Death is merely another step. That's kind of an interesting concept. I like that. It's fun to think about, right? Whatever your beliefs are. And even if you believe in religion or you don't, it kind of works. You know what I mean? Everyone's version of God is different, of heaven is different, and they're all correct. You mean if I firmly believe that I'd spend the rest of eternity making mad, passionate love to a bevy of leggy supermodels, I'd get that? Yes. That takes a load off. I wonder if it's too late to insist that into the old. It's yours to create. At this time, you're an atheist. If you continue to walk that path, your death will bring you oblivion. I can live with that. So if you're an atheist and you believe there's nothing, well, when you die, there will be nothing. Kind of interesting. What about me? I sold my soul to the devil to get revenge. Can my contract be broken? Can I go to heaven and see my little girl? What's going to happen to me? What about me? Go to hell. Now you return home. Your time here is past. Follow in the path of righteousness. Believe in me, and I'll be seeing you. Wait. Just one more question. Where did I come from? And I love God's answer. This is pretty funny. Your parents conceived you. Ah. I mean, true, but not the answer I guess the dragon was looking for, right? And boop. And I guess dragon somehow reincorporates into his body here. Heavenly Father, I beseech you, Baraka, Raka, Doom, some sort of huge explosion. And that's where we're left with this, like I said, fairly classic issue and somewhat controversial for, kind of nonsense reasons, honestly. But a fun issue for sure. If you're okay with poking at fun at anything, or that anything is free game when we're dealing with comedy and humor, well, I think this whole issue is pretty fun and humorous all around. And, I don't think God up there, if he's there or she's there or it is there, is insulted in any way. I mean, I was pointing out to my girlfriend about this issue before I shot the video, how God swears in it, right? And she's like, she's not particularly religious, but she's like, God doesn't swear. She was kind of kidding, right? But I said, if God created everything, then he created swearing. So, it makes sense that God might swear. Next, the dragon returns from hell. The sad, strange life of Peter Clapton. Killcat versus Justice. Rapture goes to the hospital. Lots going on next issue. And as usual with the Savage Dragon, lots of different plot lines going along. B, C, D, and E stories. So always something interesting happening pretty much every issue. So I will give Larson that. He, at least up till now, has a way of keeping you interested in the storyline and what's going on with some of the characters, right? And caring about the characters. And, you know, consistently, I've said it before, one of the better writers. And if I had to go back, you know, and when I stopped kind of reading comics when I was 13, 14, I stopped collecting, you know, Spawn, Savage Dragon. Maybe Savage Dragon would have been the one series I kept collecting just, you know, because it was actually fun to read and interesting. So there you go. All right, guys, that is my Saturday review of the Savage Dragon issue number 31. If you're still watching and you're still enjoying the videos, thank you so much for being there and your loyalty. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It only takes a second. Helps the channel grow, helps get us out there to other people who are into comic books just like we are. Helps motivate me, obviously, to keep shooting these videos and putting them out there. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Have an awesome weekend and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KINGCOMICS.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe!